How to know if you're dealing with a narcissist. Why in the world would I be talking about this?
This is Leah Marlene. You'll find deep talks here, meditation, tips, tools, including yoga, so you can be authentically you.
I look at all of humanity as an acting teacher, as a director, as an artist. It is my job to look into all of humanity, including my own, so that I can give back. We're talking about narcissism. Why? First of all, it's a tremendous character study. So if you're an artist in any way, musician, painter, actor, you study into these things. And it'll open up your world into different things that you can play with to create. When we have a deeper understanding of, again, our own humanity and humanity at large, we can create so much. When we're a victim to our own behavior and the behavior of humanity, then we suffer. That's where I believe that art can heal. Art can heal us. It can connect us in many ways. And this is one way. So this is why I feel like it's an important thing to address. Also because, surprise, surprise, in the entertainment industry and otherwise, I've encountered a lot of narcissists. And so my job, my soul's calling, is to help you, to help other people, to uncover all of the stuff that covers up your own authenticity, because that's where your gifts and talents live. And I believe when we all express and use our own gifts and talents, there is no competition. And we share and we give and we thrive and we learn and we evolve. And from that place, we can create peace on the planet. So that's what I'm here to help with. That's what I'm called to do. Through meditation, through yoga, there's a lot of different inroads and webbing to why that all works. Today we're talking about narcissism also because I've seen it stop actors. I've seen it stop artists. I've seen it ruin the potential of tremendous talent. So if I can help you with the signs that I've researched and learned over the years, and also share some of my own personal experience so that there can be a healing, so maybe you can use it to express through a song or a book, or by connecting in a deeper way, or transforming your relationships, or uncovering that piece of you that has your gifts and talents, then it's worth it. So I'm not trying to diagnose anybody in particularly here, because that's not my job, but I'm here to look at human nature. And from the sampling of my own research, my own therapy, the books that I've read, and my experience as a director and coach with dealing with a lot of different people, I have this to impart today because it has held me back in ways. So I want to pass on this information so that it can empower you or somebody that you know that it could help in a myriad of ways. Either it helps your relationships, it helps somebody that you love in their relationships, or maybe it's a character study for you and you can write a character out of this. So that's what it has to do with acting, with artistry, and why I share this message today. I'm going to share with you signs that you might be dealing with a narcissist so that you know, so that you can have radical acceptance for it instead of being a victim of it and possibly allowing it to ruin your potential and make you go crazy, because it can do that. So the first thing I want you to know, because there's a lot of shame around it. It's like, oh, you just are a bad character study. No, that's not true. I read behavior for a living, and I have been, I'm not a victim, but for lack of a better words, a victim of narcissist abuse. Narcissist abuse. It's also what has helped me to do my job very well, because I can read behavior and now I see these signs. But before, I was taken advantage of, and I have been, even in recent past, because I'm a human being. They picked you because you are smart, because you are successful, because you do have an open heart. So it's the very qualities that are really positive about you that were targeted, not because you're stupid, okay? And the really good ones go after the biggest game possible because it feeds their ego if they can take down somebody of a high stature. That's even bigger win. That's a bigger win for them. So release that if there's any shame around it. They're attracted to you because you are light. We don't shame a candle for lighting a dark room. It is what it is. So darkness is always going to be attracted to you, period. So know that. If you have an open heart, if you're empathic, if you're creative, you're going to attract that, first of all. So that's the radical acceptance part of it. You're not doing anything wrong. You shining bright is going to attract it, period. So don't spiritually shame yourself and think, why did I do this? Why did I bring this in? Bright light always illuminates a dark room, period. Radical acceptance for what is. A sign that you're dealing with a narcissist is that they'll begin to tell you things that they're going to do. Healthy people never warn you that they might hurt you. An unhealthy, toxic, narcissistic person will say things like, I don't want to hurt you. Notice that they actually said what they're going to do. That could be truthful. They don't want to, but they know they're going to because that's who they are. So they will say things like that. I don't want to hurt you. I don't want to cheat you. I don't want to betray you. I don't want to leave you high and dry. They'll say things like that, warning you about what's to come. So if you trace back to some of those early conversations that you might have with a narcissist, toxic person, same almost, right? But not all toxic people are narcissists. You can trace back to a moment where they said something like that. I don't want to walk out on my bill. I don't want to, they'll say what they're going to do. I don't want to hurt you. The next sign, they're going to say things, again, how other people have responded to their bad behavior. So they might follow up with, I don't want to hurt you. And you might say, why would you say that? Are you going to hurt me? Maybe you actually say something like that. And then they might follow up with, no, I just know how people are. Or I know how girls are. Or I know how guys are. Or I know how, whatever, insert whatever fits for you. Whatever label you are, that's what they'll insert. I've been a study of human nature. I know how people are. And then they'll make a blanket statement because that's how people have responded to them in the past. So again, they're warning you. The next thing, they might say things like, I wish I didn't have so much pain. I wish I was more healed. And that's when they'll prey on your sympathy and your empathy and your open heart, because they'll share with you a time when somebody betrayed them. And they'll say, I don't want this pain. I wish I wasn't this way. I wish I was more healed. So then that builds a trust with them, right? Because you're like, they're opening up to me. And there's this vulnerable connection. And it's hard to accept that that was all a manipulation to play into your empathy. But they'll do that very early on. So notice if they give you a victim story very early on about how somebody betrayed them, otherwise they wouldn't be this way. Blame. They wouldn't be this way, but this other person, place, or thing did this to them. And now they carry with them this pain or resentment or distrust or anger or whatever it is, right? And they're so upfront with you that you think, well, why would they share something that vulnerable with me if they were going to use it against me? But they do. The next sign is, again, they'll tell you who they are. I have countless stories in my past of, people warning me about who they are. I did a video about not trusting people and how I lived with a con artist when I first moved out of, my childhood home, when right into college. I had moved in with this guy I didn't know and some other roommates, and one of the guys was a con artist. And he told me, you shouldn't trust people. People will rob you. And he did. He told me what he was going to do, and then he did that. But he didn't make it seem like it was him. It was other people, right? So they'll warn you of things. When I look back, even since I've started this YouTube video, certain people have pointed out certain videos, and it's very interesting. Like, I had this one person in my life who deliberately pointed out, oh, you made a video about me. And I said, which one was that? And he said, the one about how to deal with jerks. And I thought, what? Because I didn't think of him as a jerk. But see, he was telling me how he thought of himself. He was warning me. So people will always tell you who they are in so many ways. They'll warn you. That releases guilt for them somehow, especially if you're a very smart person. They may even compliment you, like, you're so smart. You're smarter than me, they might say. Stuff like that, because that way they're like, well, she has to be able to figure it out. She's so smart. That lets them off the hook. They'll give you backhanded comments that confuse you. So at first, there's something in narcissism called love bombing. So when they first get to know you, the love bombing can look very different depending if it's a grandiose narcissist or overt narcissist or covert narcissist. We're not going to get into all of that. Those are a lot of different character types, right? It's like learning an accent and acting. What region are you from? What is it? There are a lot of different things go into play here. So at first, they might do the love bombing, like, you're so amazing, or maybe even put you on a huge pedestal. If there's somebody you're dating, you're a dream girl, you're a dream person. If it's an employee or somebody you're working with, you're a dream client, dream partner, a dream friend, my best friend, right? So whatever relationship type it is, they're going to put you up on a huge pedestal, make you feel really good, like really seen. And the more seen and connected you feel to them, the better, because later they can use it against you. And it'll start with little backhanded comments that confuse you. Oh, you really like blue, huh? I've never seen you wear red. So they won't compliment you and they won't insult you, but they'll state the obvious without anything on the end of it, without any, that they like it or don't like it. And so then it leaves you wondering. Or they'll say comments that are very ambiguous, like, that's an interesting outfit. That's an interesting dress. And it's not like, ooh, interesting dress, or like, oh, that is so, ooh. First of all, interesting is never good when it comes to appearance. Ooh, interesting. That's never a good comment. And that one always hits me because I've gotten it from a few different people at different times in my life, and it's never good. And I was laughing the other day because I was out to dinner with somebody, and we'd never been to this restaurant, and it was terrible. It was like the worst restaurant ever. When you try something new, and it got really good reviews, and we were in a different town and everything, so we didn't know. We trusted these reviews. We went in, and immediately it was awful. It was the worst. And everyone at the table, we were with a group of people, and everyone at the table was trying to be really polite. So it was like, oh, how is the food? And everyone was going, interesting. It's different. It wasn't good. It was terrible. It was awful. When something is delicious, you're like, it's so good. Or like, damn, you look good. Or, oh my God, that's magic. You look amazing. That's a compliment. Interesting. Not good. So they'll give you these weird backhanded comments that you don't think are nice. but it's not totally insulting. So it just leaves you wondering. And they want that. They want to confuse you and second guess what they might be thinking or feeling. They want you in a state of always second guessing what's going on. In a business situation, I dealt with a narcissist, and it would just got so confusing with the back and forth and where the check was, and it's over here, and they owed me a check, and it was here, and it was there, and it was all around the square, and they would text me, and then they'd email, and it was just so confusing. And he loved that. And I played the game because I was pregnant and tired, and he knew that. So people will also use a circumstance against you. And they'll point it out to you too, like, oh, you're so pregnant, or you're so tired, I don't want to be a nuisance. And those people will be the biggest nuisance. So again, they always tell you what they're going to do. Constantly running character campaigns. So that is something really interesting, because like really healthy people don't have to run around all around the town or the state or the world and make sure everybody knows that they're a good person. Right? They're just a good person, and then word travels. Somebody who's unhealthy, toxic, narcissistic will do damage control already because they know all the damage they're creating everywhere. So they're already on damage control because they know what they're doing. So they may, run around or like meet new people intentionally because they know these other people who they're abusing eventually are going to cycle through or wake up or whatever because it's happened before. So either they're going to continue being a victim or they're going to set boundaries and leave. And if they set boundaries and leave, or you notice, or the narcissist notice you're setting boundaries and so they leave, they've got to do damage control because they know what they've been doing. And they know it's bad. So they got to go out and make sure that everybody knows how awesome they are. They've got to raise what they call in narcissist abuse, new supply. So they always have like new supply everywhere, but the more the better. Because when shit hits the fan with their lies and stuff, they need a whole crop of people, either old people who are still like their disciples, or new people who are enamored with them, who they've been love bombing, to represent them, to justify everything that they've been doing, to defend them. And the hardest part, I think, to realize when you've been a victim of narcissist abuse is to know that you were one of those people. That you were one of those people that was like, I'm so much better. Like you suddenly get on the pedestal when they tell you stories about other people and you're like, poor you. Or like, you're part of that posse now. So forgive yourself for being, duped into that scenario, because that's what happens, and that's unfortunate. And a lot of times the healing that happens is forgiving yourself, because the radical acceptance is that they're just how they are. But forgiving yourself for being duped into that sucks. They're constantly seeking validation. So if you're not validating them, not giving them that praise, to them it's criticism. And they'll probably start devaluing you. That's probably when you'll start noticing some backhanded compliments, comments, and the pull away will start to happen. Even if you're just joking, even if you're having fun, that's why it's so blindsiding, because you don't know when it's coming. If you're not praising them, it's coming. That's pretty much it. Like, you've got to be praising them. But then that's a funny thing too, because they also are repelled when you love them. They disrespect you the most if you really see good in them, because that is just absolutely disgusting to them, because they're grossed out that you would believe all their lies. So that's another way that they flip the script on you. So what does that mean? The flipper scripper. They flip the script. This is the scenario where they'll get you somehow to apologize for their bad behavior. Isn't that amazing? So if you're dating them, they'll get you to apologize for them cheating on you, or if you're married to them or something. They'll get you to apologize for it. How in the world does that happen? Somehow they will make you feel bad. Because again, you signed up for it, or you knew who they were, or they were upfront with you, or they're hurt, or whatever it is. So they test you in the beginning to see how much you'll put up with, like the guy who had me running around trying to find his check. Oh, it's in the mailbox. Oh, it wasn't there. Oh, it's here. Oh, it's there. And he knew I would get exhausted because I was pregnant. Anybody would have been exhausted by that, but because I was playing his game, instead of going, look, I'm not running around for your check. Either deposit the thing or you're not getting the rental space. But because I never did that, I never set that boundary, I played his game. He knew I would get exhausted and confused, and that's what he wanted. And then they can disrespect you more because you're exhausted and confused. So they disrespect you, and they have less and less respect for you when they see you doing what they've wanted you to do the whole time. That's what's crazy. That's how they flip the script on you. So if, say it's somebody that you're dating, they love bomb you with in the beginning, like, so say you had this tremendous creative connection, they're going to use that against you. Well, you're just not that creative right now. Or if what was in your relationship was like really, really exciting, if you had a ton of passion, they'll use that exact word like, oh, there's no passion. If you had a lot of laughter, it's like, we just don't laugh anymore. Like whatever it is, so that it really hurts you because that was the paramount thing in the relationship. So like, you know, if you're renting out a space, for instance, the very thing that they thought was cool and charming, like, oh, this is really intimate and small, they'll say, we don't like it anymore because it's intimate and small. So we decided not to pay you. So that's where it's like crazy making. They flip the script on you. If you're not careful, if you don't pay attention to these signs, this is why I'm sharing this with you, because it can cost you money. It can cost you your health. It can cost you relationship. This can be so exhausting that you can get sick. This can get so exhausting that it could cost you your livelihood. It could cost you your life. You could end up playing this game for 100 years. So that's why I'm sharing this with you, so that you don't do that. And you can use this information to create instead of let it suffocate you. Another thing that they might do is they might offer help. Like, I really want to help you. I really believe in you. What do you need? What that means is actual control. What that means is that you're giving them the keys to take over. That's how they translate it. So the minute that you accept any help from you, they own you a little bit more. So help is a very slippery slope from a narcissistic or unhealthy person because it has a lot of strings attached. They don't want any strings attached. They want to set the puppet strings. So you have the strings attached to you. They're free, right? The puppet master is holding the strings but can drop it at any time and then pick it back up. The person being the puppet has no control. That's how they want you to be, period. And the more you play the game, the more they don't respect you. So if you think like, I'm going to just do this for a while because eventually they'll respect me, no. The more you do this, the less they respect you, the more that they hate you. So the real dangerous part is if you're dating somebody like this, or you're married to somebody like this, the more you love them, the more the abuse will happen. Because they despise that you would like them through all this. Because why would you? So it's almost like they step out and they're the best friend of you. Going, why are you putting up with that? I don't even want to be friends with you anymore. Because they can't believe that you're putting up with that kind of abuse from them. They know that you're a problem, or that you're weird, or that you're a narcissist, or whatever it is, and do that damage control. Because they know the truth. They know what they did. And the more people that can feed into this other part of them, that lie that they created, the better they'll feel. And it lets them off the hook. And so now you're one of those people. Now you're on the outside. Now you're one of the people who you heard about at the beginning of the story with them. Remember? When they're like, I'm a victim from this and this and this. And this is the hard thing about when you've suffered abuse like this, because, you know, for a long time, until now, I haven't even wanted to share that I've endured this type of stuff, because for one, it attracts more people. They're like, oh, sweet, did you hear what she said? Let's all go. Like, you know, let's bring the parade of narcissists. Some people think of it as a challenge. Like, she just admitted, challenge. Yes, it's like the Olympics for the narcissist. She said she deals with it. That's why a lot of times therapists will be targets. And people who do work like I do will be targets, because that is like a big win. That is like a major game when they're like, I took her down, or I got the meditation teacher to react, or like, I got her to be whatever, I got dirt on her or him or whatever, right? So then they'll begin the smear campaign on you, trying to defame your character, telling other people about how horrible you are. And a lot of times telling the exact story that happened, but in the reverse, with you as their character. Fortunately, I've dealt with it in business and in my personal life. And I see a lot of students and a lot of bright lights and a lot of big talents get shut down because of this type of abuse, because it's this silent killer. So instead, do a character study if you're an actor, so you can play this character, but don't be a victim of this character. So then, yeah, the whole cycle continues. They'll devalue you, they devalue the relationship, they'll devalue everything, then they'll emotionally discard you, they become unavailable suddenly, then the physical discard, that's when they rip up the contract, ghost you, block you, whatever. The whole thing keeps going. But when they really know that you know who they are, and the mask is totally off, that's when they're really pissed. So that's when sometimes it can become dangerous. So if you're in a dangerous situation, make sure that you take the proper measures. Talk to a therapist, talk to the police if you have to. I mean, this stuff can get really serious. I mean, these are real people. And, you know, you wouldn't think, that's been my problem sometimes in the past, you wouldn't think somebody who isn't like a criminal, full out criminal or like sociopath would go to the lengths that people would with lies and like doing all that web of stuff, but they do, because it's a disorder. It's a personality disorder that they developed in childhood because their needs weren't met. Just like the empath was developed in childhood because their needs weren't met. So if you're an empath, you learned that you needed to take care of everybody else, to be safe, or to have some kind of need met. Narcissists learned that they needed to manipulate people and not feel anything because feelings hurt. So to get what they want, they have to take, they have to manipulate, they have to play this game. So you don't need to feel sorry for them, but to have an awareness of like where this comes from, and to have the radical acceptance that that's who they are. And you can't change them. They can, I guess, through therapy, get help and change. And so if these symptoms are like, holy shit, that's me. Well, first of all, awareness is really big. Awareness is really big, because that is the key to transformation. So maybe this can heal on many different levels. But I mean, this was a play, this was a book in the 1940s. You know, that's where the term gaslight came from. So this stuff's been going on forever. I mean, this stuff's been going on since the Greek plays and like since the time of forever. What are movies, television, plays, songs written about? This stuff. A lot of times. So that's why I want to talk about it. Not just try to portray it or like act like we're above it. We're all in this human experience together. So either you are a narcissist, or you've encountered one, or you will. Maybe not as many as some of us unfortunately have because of the character traits you've adopted along your way, or fortunately, you won't encounter so many. But if you do, and you see a number of these signs, then you can go, oh, that's what's happening. I'm not going crazy. I can see these signs. And if this has happened to you, you can look back sometimes and go, oh, not to ruminate, not to beat yourself up, but to give yourself your own closure, because you're never going to get it from them. And if you do, it's going to be some false thing to just manipulate you again. So the only way you can really heal is to look at it and figure it out on your own, and then let it go. So it's not to talk about it to become more of a victim and perpetuate the cycle. But it's like my daughter slammed her finger in the door the other day, which was so sad. Actually, she had her fingers in the hinge of the door, and then I shut the door, even though I told her not to do that. But it was a natural consequence, and she got it, right? So next time, I guarantee she's not going to do it because it hurt really bad. So hopefully, if you've had this abuse, you can remember that hurt, but not from a like, I'm going to shut myself off from everybody in the world, but I'm just not going to put my fingers in the middle of the door jamb again. Because I know that every time that is what's going to happen. I'm going to get pinched. It's going to hurt. So if I see these signs, no matter how good looking they are, no matter what a great business person they are, no matter how fun they are, creative they are, whatever, you know you're going to get your fingers jammed in that door, and it's going to hurt like hell. Or maybe it's going to be your heart. Maybe it's going to be your health. But you can't change them, but you can begin to notice and go, wait, I don't want to keep doing that to myself. A lot of the pain sometimes comes when people go back and go back. I think statistically it's like 9 times or something somebody tries to leave a toxic relationship, and then they're pulled back in. Until sometimes they just give up. And they stay in it. And they turn on themselves. Because then you don't trust yourself anymore. Because you've broken those agreements with yourself so much. So if I can just be another voice, or if you haven't watched a video like this, the first voice, or the millionth voice, or whatever voice, but if I can be a voice that gets through to you, so that you can avoid this and save your life and live up to your potential. That's going to be the best reward for you and everybody around you. So that's why I want to share this. Please share this video with somebody that you think it could help. Because the more of us that are aware of it, like I said, the narcissists and toxic people are out there running campaigns and damage control all day long. But the healthy people aren't doing that. The way we can run damage control is by spreading awareness. And by releasing the shame. Like, no, I didn't attract this person because I'm an idiot. I attracted this person because I'm freaking amazing. I'm pure light. And I'm going to attract them a lot. So let me get used to it in an empowering way and not a victim way.